Hey, Rick, we had David Collins on today, and this was a very interesting one, just about what he does and his team and the knowledge that he has. I mean, what is one of the key points you pull out?
Well, he had a lot of knowledge that I really liked. How he looks at sales and how you work with people is I resonate with it because it's the same way I look at it. So I really enjoyed listening to his way of how he does business and how he runs his company.
So he's doing he is a guru, all staying. I mean, he hasn't been in the business for a long time. I mean,
a lot of volume.
About 5 years, but it's about volume, and that's what he's built himself on. And if you are looking at possibly joining a team or even thinking about this or as a business, this is one you definitely need to listen to.
Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus, your ultimate guide to the dynamic world of real estate in Indiana. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in real estate and mortgages for over 24 years.
And I'm Ian Arnold, a loan officer on Rick's hardworking mortgage team, and we are both with Advisors Mortgage Group. Together, we'll empower you with expert advice, market trends, and successful stories from guru realtors and local experts.
Whether you're a homeowner, investor, or pro, join us as we navigate the thriving Indy real estate market.
Now get ready to unlock the doors of success, one episode at a time.
Well, Dave Collins is here today. Dave is a guru and has a large team. And Dave, I love your I guess it's not tag. I love your. Is it a tagline?
It's my tagline, my motto, my slogan, I guess you would call it that.
And it's I got a guy, real estate.
I know a guy.
I know a guy. I know a guy, real estate. I should have known that.
I know a guy.
I know a guy. And so it's I know a guy, and you have that registered, and it's you.
License and patent, everything. Yeah. I know a guy, realty. I know a guy, real estate. That's me.
So if anybody needs real estate, that you know a guy.
Correct. Need to sell, you need to buy, I know a guy.
That's right. Perfect.
What's his name?
David Collins. That's his name. And so, Dave, tell us about before real estate.
Well, I started off after school working in the restaurant business, bartending, and then was finishing up my degree. Once I got my degree, I got into a few different inside sales jobs, and honestly really didn't like the whole 9-to-5 life and working, and then was always rushing home to get kids to and from practice picked up. At the time when I was first doing it, the kids were younger, so it wasn't as tough. But then I found myself driving home, stopping at the gas station to change into baseball clothes to go coach my kids, and just really wasn't liking that 9-to-5 lifestyle. And a couple different friends of mine / mentors kept telling me, you should get into real estate. You'd be really good at real estate. You'd be really great at it. Thought about it, and then finally made the decision. And I actually told my wife, I said, give me 2 years in real estate. And if I'm not making the money I was when I was making a 9-to-5, then I will go back to a 9-to-5 life. And she said, okay. But I already knew in the back of my mind that I wasn't going back to that 9-to-5 life. So right. I just kept going. And that's been since 2019. And here I am today.
Yeah, you've done very well.
Yeah.
And you have how many people on your team?
Currently, our brokerage has, including myself and my business partner, we have 12 agents underneath us.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've done extremely well. It's always a tough thing to get going in, and you even had a little twist to get right as you got going. So tell us what you did and how you got going, and what that twist was.
Well, I guess first of all, when I first started going, I already built up a good clientele going back to I know a guy meeting so many people and doing different things. So as I got in the business, I already had a pretty robust pipeline of people wanting to use me. Well, got my real estate license in January of 2019. And in March of 2019, my wife and I decided to go skiing. I was going for the first time, had a fall and ended up breaking my leg, and was out of the game, so to speak, for about 6 months, but was still working from home. And I was still working my full-time job. And then I had to switch to part-time at that job. So I was able to focus a little more on real estate and getting myself back to health with physical therapy and things of that nature, and gave me a lot of time to focus on and recollect and realize this is what I want to do in life. So I just put my best foot forward and just really honed in and focused on the real estate career.
Okay. So during that time, what did you do to get the real estate off the ground? Because you couldn't really go anywhere without somebody driving you, right?
Correct. Facebook, word of mouth, just talking to people and networking constantly, sending text messages to people and just knowing a lot of people. I just made it known that this is what I do now. And so they would slowly start reaching out to me. I like to look at it as in the past, you may have your personal general practitioner or your own dentist or your chiropractor. My goal was to become your real estate agent, whether you're looking to buy today, buy in 6 months. If you have a question about when should I change this out or when should I do this or when's the best time to buy, when's the best time to sell, I want to be your go-to. So I would always reach out to people and say, regardless of when you want to buy, everything's always an opportunity. Every client can always be an opportunity if you work that opportunity. Every person in your sphere, your network, anybody you come in contact with can eventually become a client if you just work with them and gradually call. I look at it as it's not a one call closed deal real estate. It's a very relational, transactional business.
So I got a question.
Sure.
So real estate's a weird thing to just all of a sudden jump into. So
Yes.
what even gave you the idea that, all right, I'm going to stop my job and jump to real estate? I know you did it, but what was the bug? Was it a friend that did it or something?
I had a few friends that had been in it before, and even when I was bartending, they were agents, and they had told me, you'd be really good at this, you'd be really good at this. And then a friend of ours, my wife and I, they went to high school together and taught together. He started doing it on the side as a part-time job, and he kept telling me to get into it. And so I always kind of had an interest for it. And then one day I finally just decided, you know what, this is for me. When I started seeing, and then I had another guy who I coached his son, and we became friends down in Whiteland. And he essentially pushed me over the edge, like, hey, you need to do this. And I don't want to say working dead-end jobs, because they weren't dead-end jobs, but it was more of, I felt I was selling products that weren't beneficial to the clients. I felt like some of the companies I worked for weren't really putting that best product forward. And I just had a hard time trying to sell them on that.
Right.
But, I had to sell to meet my quota. So with real estate, I know I'm giving them pieces, I'm helping them. I'm helping the clients, whether it's a sad occasion where they have to sell their home or the family's growing and they need to upgrade. So I feel like it's the best of both worlds. You're able to still stay in sales, meet so many different people, and I'm helping people along the way.
Yeah. Well, you hit on a couple things I want to emphasize. One, you said while you were getting started, you wanted everybody to realize, you're a real estate agent. I think that's critical. I tell new loan officers that all the time. They don't look at you as a loan officer. They look at you as whatever you were doing. So you have to change their mind. How did you get that across to people?
To be honest, this is one of the many things in my life that I was very proud of when I got my license and everything. So I don't want to say I was bragging about it, but I was just letting it known out there, in the world, whether it was not MySpace, that's a little bit older. I'm aging myself now. But Facebook, just talking to friends, I always was just real excited to talk to them. Like, hey, I'm a real estate agent now. This is what I do. If you know anybody looking to buy a house, I know a guy, and then it just kind of just perpetuated and just kept taking off. And now people know me, and, they always come to me they either know me as a coach or real estate agent. I've been coaching my oldest son is 18. I started coaching him when he was 3. So I've been coaching about 15 years, coaching baseball. So reaching out to the community, doing a lot of giving back to the community down in Whiteland, sponsoring events, whether it's Whiteland or anywhere. I have friends throughout the city, so they'll reach out to me and, hey, do you mind sponsoring my kids' team? Absolutely. Anything for the kids. And it gives me a little brand recognition, but giving back to the kids. So that's just my way of putting it out there and people know what I do. And then they reach out to me with any questions or concerns.
Now, what do you coach? What's your...
I coach baseball. I tried my hand at basketball this year with my youngest son. He's 10. It's not my best forte. I didn't do bad, but I got along great with the kids, but I'm not a basketball guy. But baseball is my main love.
Okay.
Played it myself for quite some time, and then...
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. And then all 3 of my boys play baseball now.
What was your position?
I pitched and played second base.
Okay. So you were good.
Decent.
Because I played right field. That tells you how... No. Yeah, right field.
I played right field
That
sometimes.
tells you how good I was.
I played left out a little bit. I played left out too sometimes.
Was it right field? Is that the worst? Is that where, at least in Little League, it's like the worst, the worst player gets set out there?
That's the cliche that everybody sticks with, that if your kid's in the outfield, they're the worst player on the team. But at a younger age, it may be the situation because, the balls aren't hit out there that often, but as the kids get older,
yeah, it's not the way.
that's a very prominent position. If you can play outfield, then you're doing something right.
Yeah. Well, as you get older, it's like there isn't a position that isn't important.
Exactly.
Really.
Every position is volatile in baseball.
Yeah.
100%.
It's actually, that's a lot like life, isn't it? Like work. Every position in your office is important.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah. It's not just you as an agent, but you have to have your team there also. And so it's a lot like life.
Clicking on all cylinders. at all times.
Absolutely.
So let me get this. So when you got in real estate, right before, I know we all have ideas about this is what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. But what was the reality check? What did you learn that the misconception once you got into real estate?
I guess the misconception would be, I didn't realize that I'd be responsible. You don't get a paycheck. You get a paycheck when a deal closes. So you have to learn, my whole life in my career, professional career, paid weekly or biweekly. So the biggest thing in real estate is, and I tell all my agents this, save your money, be frugal, because you do not get a deal until that deal closes. I said, when that final piece of paper is signed to the title company, that's when you get paid. I said, you may take a client out, look at 20 houses, one house, 100 houses. You don't get paid until the very end. So be smart with your money. And then a big reality check for me as well was taxes.
Yeah.
I was used to getting those taken out, and then got on the estimated tax plan, payment plan, and realizing, oh, wow, now I've got to give some of this money back. So just learning how to save that money and keep that money back. And thank God for my wife, because she handles that part of it for me, because I would be screwed without that. So
yeah, there's a lot of people who are.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who get in trouble because they didn't pay their taxes.
yes, pay your taxes.
Yeah.
You were actually, I've asked that question to a lot of people. You're the first one that has said it, not about the paycheck, but about the taxes. Mm-hmm. Because most people don't realize that most real estate agents, if not all, is you do get taxed at the end of the year unless you pay it throughout. But it's not like W-2 or employees that
Correct.
automatically every week, every 2 weeks.
Correct. The IRS will find a way to get their money. So
Yeah.
my one bit of advice is make sure you pay your taxes, but save every single receipt you have and find a good accountant.
Yeah. Write as much off as you can.
Absolutely.
But don't do it if you're trying to buy a house.
No. That's the dilemma with 1099
Yes,
employees.
it is.
They want to not show as much income, but then when they try to go buy a home or a car, they're stuck because they're not showing enough income on their
Right.
statements. So it's kind of a,
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, we have to explain that to people.
I believe
and then they yell at us.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm like, well, you told the government you only made $3 that last year. Well, guess what? You have to report to the government to buy a house. You said $3.
I actually had my accountant told me, she had a client one time that was 1099 and asked if they could show like $30,000, I believe, for taxes, but then they wanted to buy a home, so could they bump that up to what they were originally making at $150,000? And she said, I just hung up on them. She said, I'm not even addressing that. I'm not even taking that call.
No, that's, yeah. The other thing you don't want to do is go to jail over the taxes, right?
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just
It's hard to do real estate from being an inmate.
exactly.
I would guess.
It's hard to show houses when you're.
Yeah. When you're incarcerated.
Hey,
Yeah.
you can do it in crutches. I think you can find a way.
If I can do it in Croaches, I just have to hire somebody out to go show a house for
Yeah.
me and send one of my agents to go to the closing for me and send me the check. Yeah.
We had an agent who was stationed in Iraq and sold a bunch of houses while he was stationed there.
Really?
Yeah. And he did that. He had somebody show the houses, but he was able to, he set it up. I don't know. He explained how he set it all up so he could get the calls, and he'd call people, even though the timing was really different, but he made it work.
I wonder if he hired another agent or had one on the side.
I think he had one on the side.
Kind of splitting the commission or compensating them in ways to be able to go show those houses or whatever. Yeah.
But he said he did really well.
I bet he did. I would use him.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that he was overseas and serving the country. I would.
Yeah.
If I was looking to buy a home, I'd hire him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a big agent. He's a good agent. So I like to go through my favorite question. It's a little early probably, but I'm going to go through it anyway because it's my favorite question. I couldn't wait to ask. what would you say your superpower or superpowers are?
Well, to be honest, I don't have any. I mean, the only people that have superpowers, in my opinion, are moms.
Okay.
Moms are the ones with the true superpowers. My superpowers, I guess I would say, it's a good question. I'm very transparent and honest and upfront with my buyers and sellers. It's a very stressful process. You can call me at 9 o'clock in the morning. You can call me at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to pick up my phone. If I'm not there, you're going to get a quick text that says, I'll call you back in 5 minutes, and I usually step away from what I'm doing. I've been a part of the home buying process and the selling process. It's stressful. It's stressful for all parties. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, I guess my superpower would be I'm able to put on several different hats at any time, whether it's talking them off a ledge, and I mean that in a business sense.
Right.
But as far as, what do I do about this, or advising them within my powers to what to do and what not to do. They come up with many issues during a transaction, or even just the courting process of going out showing homes and things of that nature. A lot of buyers and clients are uneducated in the real estate side, so they need someone there to, I guess essentially you'd say, kind of hold their hand, but not really hold their hand through the process, but giving them that peace of mind. And that's one thing I pride myself on, is the whole time is, the follow-up, making sure they're okay, they have this, things of that nature.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess another superpower. And based on our conversations and talking with you, I think one of your superpowers is your ability to make and keep friends. And I say that because it's a struggle for me at times. I look back and I've had all these friends over the years, but I've never kept in touch. But you were able to keep in touch with all those people and bring them into your real estate career.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I mean, that's a huge superpower. I think that because it's easy for you, it's just what you do. Maybe it's not easy, but it appears it is, because you have that personality that, you just kind of can talk to anybody. That's just my guess.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I try to treat people the way that I would want to be treated. And that's the biggest thing that I try to instill in my kids is, treat others. It's the golden rule.
Right.
Just do unto others as they would unto you. But I wholeheartily believe in that. I believe in karma. What you give out is what you're going to get back. So There's always staying in contact. And, during that course of those professional years and even the bartending years, it's not just meeting people, but, you build friendships.
Yep.
I've had people I bartended 20 years ago that some of my regulars back then have still called me to buy a home or sell a home, or help their kids buy a home. It's just, you just continue that ongoing relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my newer agents and anybody looking to get into the industry. You don't realize that when you get into real estate, your whole life, you've been building your pipeline. You've been meeting people and, they're forming opinions of you, you're forming opinions of them. You build that trust along that course of your lifetime. They're going to want to essentially repay that favor by hiring you to help them find their home or sell their home.
Yeah, but they trust you.
They trust you.
They
That's
know
the
you. They
thing.
trust you, and that says a lot when it's people that you worked with,
absolutely,
and just waited on years ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I feel like that's been the biggest part of the success. My first couple of years, I used a lead source one time, and the rest of the business was just from people I knew, or them sending a referral to me that they would call me and say, "Hey, a friend of mine needs to sell their house, or my cousin's looking to buy. Can I send them your way?" I said, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
And, just stay humble. That's the biggest key in this, I think, is just staying humble. Be humble and stay humble.
So I want more people to work with you to whether buy, sell, or anything, but they need to know a guy. So what's the best way they can get in contact with you to find out this guy?
The best way to get a hold of me would be I know a guy, real estate @gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I have 3 different pages on Facebook. I have I Know a Guy Realty. I have David Collins. I also have Indy Crossroads Group, which I would love for you to get on there and follow and like. We are looking to grow our brokerage. We're currently at 12 agents now. So we're looking to expand those numbers and continue to grow to help people out. Or text me, call me, 317-281-9241.
Well, I mean, I know a guy real estate is so easy. So I know a guy real estate at gmail.com. Because a lot of people, it's the phone number, but man, that's so easy.
It's catchy. And
Yeah.
it's easy to remember.
It's really easy. I thought mine, hardworking mortgage guy, was easy, but I think yours is much easier.
Yeah, they're both a little long to type out, but they're
Yes,
both
they
still
are.
pretty easy to remember. But
Yeah, they are. And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. And it is a little long. Or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938.
All right. So we're going to take a side step. Let's get to know you a little bit more. Uh-oh. So if I take away your phone for 24 hours, you cannot work. What do we catch you doing for fun?
Baseball games. Be with my kids playing baseball, coaching baseball, or watching them play baseball. Or two of my younger kids, they both wrestle, play basketball, play football. My oldest son played football, so if I'm not selling houses, I'm on the ball diamond coaching or in the bleachers with my wife or somewhere. A lot of times my wife and I have to split duties on the weekends because of the different ages. So we have a color-coded calendar at home of who's going where. And it's, okay, I've got this one, I've got this one. So if I'm not working or doing anything like that, I'm with my kids watching them play sports.
So I got to ask a question. So are you the parent, the quiet parent in the stands, or are you yelling at your kid? Not saying you're yelling at refs or coaches, but
generally I just find myself getting up from the bleachers and walking down to the side of the fence, because I've been on both sides of the fence where, as I'm coaching, and then you have parents, yelling at their kids. It's already stressful on these kids. Mm-hmm. They want to do well. Their teammates, they're friends with the teammates. There's friends with kids on the other team. They look up, dad's talking, mom's talking. Here comes grandpa. They're already nervous. Let the kids play the game. So I try to tell my kids, look, dad's here. I'm just going to be on the right field fence by the foul pole.
Yep.
And then it's tough too, because, my kids, when I'm coaching, they think I'm being hard on them. I said, I'm not being hard on you. I just expect more from you. And if I allow you to run amok and act crazy when I'm trying to coach, it's basically telling these other kids that they're allowed to run amok and act crazy. And then it's complete chaos. And these, we're here to learn and get better. And I can't do that if I'm constantly having to, remind you to pay attention.
No, I coach my son in basketball and soccer, and I do the same thing. But I also send an email to all the parents. I'm like, look, there will be no yelling at coaches. Yes. You can yell to cheer on your kids, but no negative stuff, and you cannot yell at refs.
Yeah, we get to the point now where we are asking, as they get older, the older age groups, we ask the parents, once the kids get in the dugout, they're in the dugout.
Yep.
We don't want them coming out for food, getting drinks, or
correct,
getting their nose wiped, or a good pat on the back saying, nice catch, Timmy. No, just let the kids play the game, and you can have them after the game.
Yeah, I always get parents that laugh at me because you get that kid that wants to run over. Go, no, your mom doesn't love you right now.
Yes.
She'll love you in about an hour when we're done.
Yes, just pay attention. I tell the kids, I say, when you cross these foul lines, you're ours. Once you put the bags in the dugouts, you're with us. You can go see mommy after practice. And sometimes it works. And, it's fun, though, seeing the parents get into it, get really excited. Yes. The kids getting excited. But you can see, when I'm out there, I'm usually coaching third base, so I'm looking right down at the batter. And you can already just see the nervousness in their eyes, and then you got a lot of parents sitting right behind home plate with their phones out. I call it, it's the mom's photo op, because they're ready to just take all kids of little Billy coming up the plate. And I said, if you could see the look in your kid's eyes right now, he wants to do well, but they're more afraid of failure at that point in time because everybody's watching.
Yep.
And I said, it puts a lot of undue and unnecessary pressure on these young kids, and they're just trying to play a game. They're trying to get better. Of course they want to win. Everybody wants to win, right? That's why you play the game. But so much undue pressure and unnecessary pressure on these little kids. Just let them get out there and have fun.
And even the greatest hitters in the world only hit the ball how many out of 10?
I mean,
3.
You're considered a Hall of Famer if you're 3 for 10.
Yeah.
You're doing 30%. You're pretty good. You're batting 300. You're a legend. It's hard.
So they're going to fail 70% of the time at the minimum.
Yep.
And that's when, as you get older, baseball becomes more of a mental game. And just like, I teach the kids, this is about life. I said, you win, you learn. I don't like to use the word lose when I'm coaching sports or even in real estate. You don't lose. You didn't lose a deal. You learn from it. What can I do better?
Right.
What did I do wrong? How do we fix that collectively as a team? Is it something I can do? Or is it something collectively as a team? And my youngest son is 10, my middle one's 12, and then I have an 18-year-old. My 2 younger ones, they both wrestle now, which I love it because it's an individual sport. So it's self-accountability. You can't, after you come off the mat, whether you win or lose, you can't say, well, so-and-so didn't catch the ball. Well, if he didn't strike out, I could have won that game.
Right.
Well, that's what I did. You didn't lose the match, buddy. What can you do better? Take from that and build on it. I don't demand perfection at all. I want my kids to have fun and learn and build from it. But I do expect effort when you're out there. Give your best, because I know what you're capable of. You know what you're capable of. Don't take that time off when you're out there. You can have that time off when the game's over, the match is over, but when that whistle blows, just give it your best. I promise you'll be satisfied with the results, and you'll have no regrets if you give it your best while you're out there during that hour or that 3 minutes of wrestling match or 6 minutes of this basketball quarter or first inning. I promise you leave it all out there, you're going to have no regrets.
Yep.
And I try to tell that to my agents, anybody I come in contact with, just give it your best. And you don't need to be perfect. Who's perfect?
Right.
Their life is probably boring if they're perfect, right? Then you have no good stories to tell everybody about that you messed up on, or you're not going to believe this happened to me one time. If you're perfect, it's just like, oh, here's my life.
The only people that are perfect, and as far as I can tell, that don't fail, that never try.
Exactly.
You have to do something. And when you do something, especially when you do something for the first time, you're likely not to do it well. And you just have to keep trying and keep working at it. And like you said, you get to figure out what you did wrong and get better at it, right?
100%.
Goes for sports, goes for business.
And, there's the old saying is like, I don't care, I think it was Rocky, but I don't care how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get up. But honestly, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Because, the most successful people in the world came from failures, right? When you think about it, you have to try different things. I was in sales for 6 years, didn't like this particular industry, didn't like this industry. Not saying I was failing at it, but in a sense it was failing at it because it wasn't the right fit for me. So in a sense it was a failure, right? But you just keep going. You just keep getting up and learn from that and build from that.
So is your motto also you keep playing hard, you 100% is what you can give until the last signature?
Try to, yes. That's a good way to look at it.
You don't get the whistle anymore, but you get that last signature, right?
That's a great, but even then for agents, you give 100% even after that signature.
Yes.
Right.
Because you want the follow-up to make sure that everything's good. But that's a great analogy. I never looked at it that way, so thank you for that. But 100%.
I'm going to patent that, so you can't use it.
I'll call you if I need to borrow it.
Okay.
He already knows somebody. He'll be done before you ever get started.
That's probably true. I'm too lazy.
So I was watching a speech, not really a speech, a interview of Kobe Bryant. And I'm not really a sports guy, but he was talking about how when he was little, he was on the team. He didn't score a point the first year he played. Mm-hmm. And he said he took away from that, which what most people take away from that, I must be terrible, all that. He took away from it, I gotta get better at shooting. And so he said for 6 months, all he did is practice shooting. He said the next year, he said I scored some, but I didn't score a lot. But he was he was younger than everybody else. And by the third year, he was dominating that league.
And then became a ball hog. No, not really. I love Kobe.
I don't know because I didn't watch. I just know he was good.
Piggybacking on that, I've heard some players talking about that, and they said got to a point where Kobe wouldn't pass you the ball because he didn't trust you.
Yep.
I've saw some interviews where I forget who it was, but one of the players on the Lakers was like, I got there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and Kobe was lacing his shoes up because he was already done.
Yeah.
And then, why don't you give me the ball? He's like, you're not ready for the ball. I don't trust you in these big situations. I trust myself in these big situations. Everybody looked at him as, oh, he's a ball hog. He's selfish. He didn't have that. And again, going back to the team, didn't have that trust. He's the leader of that team, right? He's the captain. He didn't have a lot of that trust in a lot of his players. He maybe saw some of the work ethic, things of that, not knocking those players or how they do, but I do believe that that's part of the reason why he was driven to make himself better.
Yeah.
And that's how he went about it.
Yeah.
He's like, when you're on my level and you're ready and I can trust you, I'll give you the ball.
Yeah. Those top guys like that, their work ethic is...
It's second to none.
Yeah. It's incredible what they do.
I wish I had that type of work ethic. I say I do, but I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially in this business, you find yourself kind of trailing off. When business gets slow, you find yourself getting complacent in what you're doing. So you're constantly having to, tell yourself, hey, get out there and do something.
Yeah.
Find somebody to do this. And sometimes you got to create your own luck in this industry too.
Yeah.
The more you're out there talking to people, more people are going to come to you and say, I need this. Or just having a brief conversation. You never know, by walking by and saying hello to somebody, it strikes a conversation. And then you find out that their daughter's moving in town from Colorado or wherever. You're like, hey, well, here's my card. I know a guy.
Right.
If somebody's help buying a house, I know a guy. And then they usually kind of laugh like you guys did. They kind of laugh. And I said, no, seriously, I know a guy. Call me. I'll help her. Awesome. You know, just those little small little things like that. Just always be talking and kind of self-promoting in a sense, I guess you would call it, right? Not where you're super egotistical or anything, but just, you know, self-promoting. And it's a good, always tell like my kids and everybody, you know, there's a difference in being cocky and being confident, right? If you're in real estate, be confident in that. Be confident in the fact that this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. You know, you're a professional. Your clients are looking at you for advice. They are trusting you through this whole process. Be confident. And don't get me wrong, there are some cocky agents out there that are, you know, but buyers don't like that. But they do like the confidence when you know, okay, I'm going to fight for you on this deal. We're going to make sure this is done. I've talked to the lender. I've talked to the inspector. I've talked to the list agent, whatever the situation may be. When you exude that confidence, they like that. They need that. It's kind of going back to if you go into the doctor and you're like, well, I have a temperature. I feel warm. You're trusting that doctor to get your temperature down, right?
Right.
Same situation. They're nervous in this process. So be there. Be that hand that, you know, let me do what I can help you. And they trust you that you're doing everything in your power to help them get to that next step in their transaction.
Well, one of the things you said is a problem that I've had many agents have said, and that is they don't want to tell everybody what they do.
Yes.
They're nervous about that.
No need to be nervous. It's a great career. It's honestly, I think it's something to be proud of. You know, the internet's kind of steered people in many different directions nowadays. And so you'll see some saying, oh, you know, like I've seen memes. It's like, oh, you went from a hostess to a waitress to a bartender to a real estate agent. I was like, well, that's funny. I was never a hostess. So I was like, that meme's wrong, you know, joking around. But a lot of people kind of look down on like, oh, well, anybody can get a real estate license. Well, that's not necessarily the case. It's difficult to get into, and it's difficult to sustain. Because a couple years ago during COVID, and when the rates were super low, everybody wanted to get into real estate, right? It's easy money. Oh, I can go sell houses. I can go sell houses. What happened? They got complacent thinking everybody's just going to come knocking on their door needing to sell a house. Well, that changed. Rates started climbing a little bit. They realized it's not that easy. So now that we're starting to see that decline in agents.
Right.
You know, when I did phone sales, I worked for a online recruitment company. I'm not going to give them any shout outs, but it was outbound calls and inbound calls. And I told myself, I said, that phone's not going to ring. I said, if I'm going to make money, I have to pick up that phone and make the money for me. Right?
Yep.
It's no different in real estate. You know, everybody got excited like, oh my God, everybody's buying houses, everybody's selling. This is easy money. It's a piece of cake. But once that fizzles away and it slows down and gets back to reality, they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? It's been 3 months since I've had a transaction. It's been 4 months since I've had a transaction. What do I do? You know, so kind of going back to when I was saying earlier, save that money. It's nice when you get a, you know, $10,000 commission check or a $5,000 commission check or even like a $25,000 commission check. Be smart with it. You know, save for a rainy day because you never know. Like just talking to people in the industry, being in it for only 4 years, talk to people during when it crashed, things of that nature. They're like, I don't know how I survived, but how I did survive was always put money back. Everybody always tells you, just put money back. You don't have to go spend it all right now. Put it back because you're going to have slow times. And I honestly think that it's kind of slow now, but I have a feeling that when the rates, that first number becomes a 5, I think it's going to get a little hectic. I think people are getting cabin fever now. Tired of seeing that 8, 7, 6 as the first number. I think when it hits 5, I think a lot of these agents' phones are going to be going off. Hey, we're thinking about buying now. We're thinking about selling. Or mortgage lenders probably be good for you guys because, hey, we're looking to refi. You know, it's just, but then, you know, the fear of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And so that's I guess that'd be my advice. You know, if you get into it and you start having a successful year, save some of that money because you're going to have a down year. Not saying that you're a bad agent. It's just, you know, the economy is going to dictate the market, right? So if rates are high and and the home prices are higher, people aren't going to buy. So make sure that you're still able to maintain that lifestyle and, you know, take care of your family, take care of your needs, and I think you'll be successful.
Yeah. I think one big misconception that they have, realtors have, or people have, again, that don't understand what realtors' job mostly is, and even ours as lenders, is our job is not the paperwork. Our job is not the house. It's people.
It's people.
Your job is basically go out there and find new people and
Absolutely.
keep finding new people, because that's how you get your leads.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about
100%. You can buy, you can go get online leads, do this. People have their different ways of target marketing, whether it's farming, neighborhoods, sending out mailers, or doing this or things like that. But the best way to market yourself is just be out there.
Right.
Even if I keep a stack of business cards with me wherever I go. And a lot of times what I'll do is, like, if I go into the gas station to get a Diet Mountain Dew and I go up to pay, I'll leave a card sit right there. I haven't had any luck from it, but you never know.
Right.
Just constantly letting people know you're at a kids' baseball game, a sporting event, dance, whatever your kids are into, talking to people.
Right.
Just letting them know. I'm not saying going up, hey, I'm a real estate agent. They don't want it. They don't care when you talk to them like that. But if you're just having a conversation like, well, this is what I do. I'm in real estate. Well, if you ever need anything, here's my card. Call me.
Yeah. Most people want to talk about real estate.
They do.
Too.
They do. People, they love to talk about it. If they enjoy what they're doing, they'll talk your ear off sometimes. Sometimes I can do it. I've talked to people and they're like, Dave, shut up. And I'm like, sorry, I just, I get excited about something. I just keep going. So my internal voice is like, Dave, dial it back a little bit, but I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Well, here, I don't want you to have to feel like you got to stress to call people and just put your name out there. Let's just do this. I'm going to ask you, what's the best way somebody get in touch with you if somebody's looking to buy, sell, or just have a conversation about real estate?
You can call, text, email me. Call me at 317-281-9241, or you can email me I know a guy, real estate at gmail.com.
I know a guy real estate at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
I love that.
No 317 in front of that, people.
No 317 in front of that. Just I know a guy, real estate at gmail.com.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938.
All right, so now we get into what we like to do, the question of the week. So I'm kind of curious on this one. What was your first car?
1986 Pontiac 6000.
Oh, that's a pretty good car. I sold those.
Had 3 hubcaps. None of them matched. The front driver's side was completely banged in, but it was.
So you bought your car from Rick?
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
No,
It was actually my mom's car. My mom and I shared the car. We didn't have a lot growing up, so my mom and I split that car, and she'd let me take it whenever she wasn't using it. So that was my first. I think it was an 86. It was a 1986, not in 86.
1986.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was driving it in 94.
Yeah.
1994.
Those were good cars. So I sold those cars. I was in car sales during that 86.
Okay.
And but they were a good car. They weren't they weren't fancy necessarily, but they were a great car. My dad had one. A bunch of my friends ended up with them.
I got from point A to point B in it.
Yeah, that's what it did. And it was nice size.
Yeah, it was a good size.
Yeah.
This one I had was a 2-door, but it was still big enough to, you lift the seats up and your buddies can climb in the back. And
So what's been your favorite car you've ever had?
probably the one I have now,
What is that?
the 2019 Lexus ES350.
Oh, I love them. They're so comfort to ride.
He's a
The
Toyota
seats.
guy, so
They're beautiful. And I've always, since I was in high school, I've always told myself, I said, one day I'm going to get a Lexus. And my previous car before this one was a Lexus. And I had that for about 200,000 miles, and then finally decided, okay, I'm going to get a new one. And
Yeah,
before it wears out, you want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Toyotas, it's the funniest saying ever is you get tired of them before they ever think about calling it quits.
yeah, she's been good to me.
Yeah. No, they're great cars. I had a GS 430 years ago. I think it's the only Lexus I've had.
Well,
I'm not positive.
because you don't know what a good car is.
Yes.
So,
I do know exactly what a good car is. I've had one.
Lexus.
Well,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
all right. So you do have a team. So I'm always kind of curious is when you're hiring somebody, what type of characteristics do you look for in somebody?
Personality. I look for, how are you? Because again, you're going out as the face of the company, right? So when we're bringing on, my business partner and I are looking to recruit new agents, are you a good fit with the team? How's your personality? Are you we like to use, well, he likes to use a term more than I do, a fiduciary. You work for your client. I just want someone that's good to interact with, that also gets along well with others. You're going to have conflicts here and there, but the thing about real estate now, a lot of it's not a big office setting, right? So it's not as if all 12 agents are sitting in a room together from 9 to 5 and then the bickering starts. But when we do get together, or on our group text or whatever, our meetings, being cordial, getting along, having fun, having laughs, sharing success stories is big. Sharing your failures is another big thing. And then also teamwork, as far as there are times that I may have been, coaching a game, and I ask one of my agents, can somebody show this house for me? Yep. What's the address? They'll go out and show the house, and then I compensate them for that. Or would anybody, a new agent, would you like to hold an open house, to help them get going? But just working toward the same goal, right? And the same goal is not to make the brokerage a ton of money. We're not in it with the brokerage to make a ton of money. We're in it to save money, in a sense. We've spent a lot of money paying other brokerages. We're like, let's offset some of that. Let's bring agents on affordable, where they're doing all the heavy lifting, right? We're not doing much. We're there making sure that paperwork's in line, everything's good. We're staying within the code of ethics, training, things of that nature, right? We don't need 50, 25% of your paycheck. That's your money. You spent the time, the gas, the photography, time off, time away from kids and things like that. That's your money, right? I don't need 50% of that. I don't want 50% of that. I don't want 25% of that. We have an upscale when you're a brand new agent. We have a tier, but once you get to a certain threshold, then we just drop that down to a set commission, which is very, very reasonable. But I'm a firm believer in, if you're the one out there making the money, why do I need it? Yep. I earned it in a sense. I helped you earn it maybe through different things, but why do I need your money?
Right.
Or not, that sounded kind of bad. Like, why do I need your money? That sounded like awful. Like I have a bunch of money. That's not at all what I meant. What I meant was, I don't want to take your hard-earned money.
Yeah.
If you're out there doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
That's what
But when somebody's new, it takes a lot more effort from you to get them up and running. In my opinion, I'm willing to pay that because I'm paying for my education to a point, but I'm able to earn money. But after I get going, it sounds like you're really good at. Then they can. It just makes it much more affordable for them.
So not to cut you off. I'm sorry, but not to go into full detail about it. On the first 3 transactions, if you're a brand new agent, it's a 50-50 split. 50% goes to the agent, 25% goes to the brokerage, 25% goes to our mentor. So if we assign a mentor, if I assigned Ian to you on your first deal, he would get 25% of your commission. The company would get 25%.
Don't encourage him.
I know. I'm trying to recruit right now. But what would happen is, and then the brokerage gets 25% because my partner and I, we're both on these calls with you, right, helping you write the deals, making sure that everything is in line, making sure everything's good to go. And we feel after that 3rd transaction, you're feeling pretty good about it. You got more comfort and you're comfortable and
right.
Closing these deals or writing offers. Not saying closing deals, writing offers, because we have seasoned agents that will still call us and say, hey, how do I do this? Absolutely, jump on a call or, stop by. We're going to get through this together, right? We're going to help it out. And then, so that's the 50-50 split. But then when we cut it down, then it goes to 75-25 until you hit 3.5 million as a total in your career, not per year, as a total in your career. Once you hit 3.5 million, then it's a flat $700 per transaction. So you could have a $1 million listing and you're past the 3.5 million threshold, you owe us $700. And that's part of it is storage, technology fee, storage fee, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah. There's cost to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's really nice about it is because we do have some of these. We have the show called Rising Gurus, and you hear them when they come in. They're like, "Oh," because I always like to ask, "Well, what is one thing you learned?" Because we all make mistakes. And for instance, there was one that they allowed the people to stay a few days, like a week after the closing, to I guess close on the other house and stuff like that. And so the real estate goes, so when should my customers receive their $500 check? And she's like, wait, hold on. She didn't realize that they put in the notes that it's this charge per day.
If they're not out by a certain time.
But that's when you're going through your paperwork and you're going through it with some of these newer agents, that's stuff you guys catch.
Absolutely.
So that that is you watching out for their back. Yeah, they're paying a little bit, but guess what? They're watching out for you.
Sure. And not only that, but then, then you can negotiate that. And then if it's a new agent, you can train them on how to talk to that agent and say, can we get, what's it cost for post-possession? If we need 5 days post-possession, how do we do this? Not where it's just hidden and they're like, all of a sudden, their clients owe $500. Read that, walk them through it and show them, okay, this right here, if they're not out by this date, the agreed upon date, they're going to pay this money, right? Mm-hmm. But then that's also when you can train them on how to negotiate back with the agent and say, look, we need 5 days post-possession. And that's another thing that we train them on during the steps of the offer. I've had agents reach out to me and like, what are your clients looking for before they even write an offer? And I'm kind of one of those that's, if I know the agent, or even if I don't know the agent, I said, okay, what's it going to take to make this work? Don't give me the dollar amount, but what's it going to take to make this work? Give me some highs and lows in the offer that is appealing to your seller. What works for your seller? Do they need, and I'll ask them straight up, I'll say, do they need post-possession? Yeah, they would love an extra 3 days to get everything moved out. So as I'm telling my buyers, they're looking to, this looks good, but they're going to need 3 days. And they're like, oh, that's fine. They're like, we got to finish some stuff up and then we're going to clean it up. It's right. Usually not a big deal, right? But again, it goes back to what? The communication, right? Yep. Being transparent and honest. That way there's no surprises, right? And I've had a few at the beginning where there were some surprises, and to make it right, I took care of it on my end. I was like, it wasn't no fault of the client. It was, user error. I'm going to remedy the situation. But it's important to, especially when you're a brand new agent, it's important to have, whether it's one set of eyes or two set of eyes.
Right.
Looking through that, and you're not questioning them and calling them out like you did this wrong. What's this? Do you know what do you understand this before you submit it? And have you talked to your client about it? Not that you don't have to have a 2-hour conversation with your client and go line to line on the offer, right? But you want to know the highs and lows of this offer, so your client is 100% on board with what they are submitting, and the seller and the seller's agent are 100% on board with what they're receiving. That way there's no lost in translation. Yep. And so that's kind of where we come in and like, hey, I'll look that over for you. Send it over to me before you submit it. Send it to me. I'll double check it, and then we can send it out for even before signatures. That way you don't have to erase the signatures and then send it back to the client. Just send it to me. Let me take a look at it, and then we'll jump on a call. And yep, this looks good. Is this what they wanted to do? Yep. Are buyers good with this? Yep. Okay. Send it to them to sign, and then shoot it over to the list agent. And
so a little bit ago, you were talking about the way you guys do, you'll do a text, you'll do a calls, and you'll tell good things. Mm-hmm. But there's one thing you did say that I thought, and I'm kind of curious on this. You also talk about things that go wrong, the bad things. Mm-hmm. So why would somebody want to talk about their failures?
To learn from it. I mean, I think 100% you have to, if you only celebrate your successes, you're not going to be prepared for when something bad happens, right? So I've had, it was my second deal as an agent. I had a house listed, and it was a me and me, so I had the buyer. Had her in contact with the lender and everything. The day of closing, lender calls me. He's like, you're not going to believe this. She quit her job. The deal's dead. And I was just like, oh gosh. I was like, how do I explain this to my seller, who was also a friend of mine? I'm like, how do I explain this to them? Like, my stomach dropped. And, but you learn from it. He's like, had she told me this, we could have pulled earlier, but, you learn from that. And then so now I tell my clients, I said, don't buy anything nice. Don't buy anything expensive. Don't quit your job. The only time I'll tell somebody if they're buying a house to quit their job or buy something big is if they use another agent. Then it's my congratulations. I'm like, you should go out and buy yourself a new truck, But other than that, but I learned from that. It was tough because I had to tell a good friend of mine, sorry, dude, this still isn't happening. Are you kidding me? Like, he was in the truck on the way to the title company. That's when we found out. Like, it was literally minutes before.
Yeah, and you're moving.
Yes. And I said, I'm sorry. And he's like, it is what it is, and hung up. And then later, we talked and got through all of that. But it was a hard learning experience. So I always now make sure, like, that's a big thing. Like, you learn from that, you educate on. Tell them to follow exactly what their lender tells them to do.
Correct.
I don't advise on the lending side and the mortgage side. That's not my specialty, right? I give you a list of lenders. You choose the lender you want to choose. But I don't tell you do this, don't do this, don't do this. But I do tell them,
don't quit your job.
Yeah, don't quit your job, and don't buy anything expensive until it's closed. I was like, if you want to get the house key and then go turn around and put it on a brand new car keychain, have at it. I'll buy you a keychain, but do not do that in the middle of it. So yes, that's why I like to talk about failures or horror stories, whatever you want to call them in the industry. They're good.
Yes.
That's the only way I feel that, not the only way, but it's how you get better. Yeah. You get better by repetition, things like that, but you get better when you learn from it. You're like, okay, now I know not to do this, right? Yeah. Because if you have a bad transaction, what's going to happen? It's no different than some of these website reviews, right? You can have 30 good reviews online. People focus on what? That one negative review, don't they?
Yep.
And it's hard to get that removed, and it's like a tarnish. It's the same with real estate. You have one bad experience with a client, you could have 30 great experiences, but then that one client may be so upset with you that they're telling everybody, yeah, whatever you do, don't use this guy. He took us through the ringer, so it's good to know those and get those out and talk about it, because then it humbles you too. Like, maybe you're not the best agent, maybe you're not the greatest at this, like people, but it shows you again too, you're human.
Right.
Like we're no different, like we're all the same, right? We put our pants on one leg at a time.
Yep, that's right.
No different than anybody else, and no matter what profession, it's just I think it's how you approach day to day with people and how you represent yourself.
Yep.
Rick does both legs at the same time.
Oh,
I don't know how he does it.
That's pretty special.
It is special. That's why I work out.
Keep you in shape so you can get both legs.
Got to be able to jump.
Yeah, you got to
be able to jump really high to be able to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And not land on your head.
Mm-mm.
All right. So I want somebody with as knowledgeable as you are and the team that you have. I want people to be able to come to you and help you out. Now, I asked all customers, do not take him skiing. He probably will not go with you.
I will not go skiing. Don't ask.
All right. But what is the best way they can find the guy?
Different ways. So I know a guy, realestate@gmail.com, Indy Crossroads RG.com, or text or call at 317-281-9241.
What was that number again?
317-281-9241.
I couldn't remember that. I know a guy, real estate. I can remember that. And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or call us at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938. And please follow us for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus.
A reminder, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, refinance, let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you. Hey, David, thank you for joining us on our show.
Well, thank you for having me. I had a great time. It's first time doing this, so the nerves, you could probably tell in the voice, the nerves were a little there, but I had a fantastic time being here, and thank you for everything.
We appreciate it.
Next time, let us know. You get 3 shots of whiskey right before you come on.
That'll be even better.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 664589. Arnold NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.